to Personal FX, the Collectibles show. John Burke is continuing on vacation this week, and John Davis continuing to fill in. Hey, JD.
Hey, how you doing, Claire? I'm spending the week in the apartment, and today we have a great show. Now, this is the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, Indiana, the home of the Indiana Pacers. And Claire, as you know, Larry Bird was just signed to be the head coach, so he'll be at the helm of the team next season.
Sounds good for them. That's the home of Indiana basketball. But Io Haynes today is at the home of an Indiana basketball legend. And what else does he collect but basketball memorabilia? Should be quite a collection.
Of course. Also, one of the stars of Another World, Eric Morgan Stewart, is here, and he's going to share with us his incredible collection of comic books, and he has a great story about how he started collecting.
What a fun and winning show we have for you on today's Personal FX.
All right, we have a house full of guests today. Look at this. The living room is full. All these people have brought items to be appraised. And we have Janice here. And Janice came with her parents. And you're from upstate New York.
Yes.
And you brought a great piece with LBJ's autograph.
Yes.
And it's a double treat for Janice because she's also a fan of Another World. So we have Eric Morgan Stewart here. So it's a double treat. It's a special show for her. We do have a special show. And let's go out to Io Haynes. And Io is with a super collector who not only has an interesting collection, but also he's an interesting character as well, right, Io?
A character for sure. You know, the tradition of basketball in the state of Indiana is so strong that many fans prefer to watch high school and college basketball over that of the professional team, the Pacers. And today, like you said, we are with a legend here in Indiana. His name is Bobby Plump. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you for coming. It's a pleasure.
It's our honor. Tell everyone how you became a legend here.
Well, I think the legend got started back in high school. I came from a school of 161, and in Indiana, you have to understand that there were 751 schools that started in the state tournament. There were 31 in our graduating class, and we won the state tournament against one of the most favored teams in Indiana and one of the most hated teams in Indiana, so everybody started talking about it. It was a David and Goliath thing, and it happened with a last-second shot.
And this is the actual shot right here.
That is the actual shot of the ball going through the basket in the last 3 seconds to win the game by 2 points.
And John and Claire, take a look at this ring. This is the state championship ring that you won for Milan.
That is correct. That is the state championship ring. Each team member gets one of those for the championship.
Well, we know how important that last shot was, and the movie Hoosiers was made because of that shot. So when we come back, we'll talk more about that.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Io. How are we doing so far?
So far,
good. We're off to a good start. Now, if you want to join us here in the FX apartment, give us a call at 1-800-FX-FX-FX1. And now let's go over to the dining room with Claire, Susie, Ron, and Dominic.
I feel so much better now that I know we're off to a good start.
Right.
Dominic, welcome. Let me introduce you to two of our great appraisers, Ron Norris and Susie Anderson, who did a great job with the spring cleaning sale on Friday. I was impressed.
Thanks. I just spoke to Ann yesterday, and she did $1,700 worth during that sale.
Good for her. She cleaned out the house, and she made some money,
She has
too.
room now.
Now, let's see what you brought, Dominic. Tell us about
I
it.
purchased this approximately 42 years ago for my wife, and we've had it stored. We haven't used it. It's a completely animated motion lamp. When it's lit up, everything moves on it. The waters trickle, and the fountains bubble with water, and the little animals, the frogs, look like they're talking water animation.
Well, let's appraise it for you, and it still works.
Oh, yes. And the little boy on the other side.
Yeah, what makes it animated, of course, is there's a very light fan in there, and the heat from the bulb makes it go around, kind of like the chimes that you have at Christmas time, under the same principle.
Was there a period when motion lamps were really the most popular?
Yeah, it's always been kind of a novelty type of item, but I would think the 40s, 50s, these were also very popular.
40s
and
through the 60s.
Early ones, because they did make them earlier, but I think that's what was most. Yeah,
the earlier ones were the candles.
Yep.
Then the heat created the motion, and then they went to the electric light bulb, and this one's called the Fountain of Youth. This is a later one.
Is something like this?
Well, they're the precursor of the lava lamp. They are collectible. And
I
this,
like these better than lava lamps, though, no doubt.
this one, of course, has the waterfall on this way and the little boy on the other side. This one is one of the later ones, though. It's not one of the earlier ones.
Yeah, I kind of think it's neat, though, and they are collectible.
Put a
People
price
like
range on it for
I
us.
like it about $100 to $125, and we'll take it from there.
I'm
Susie,
right
what
in the
do you
middle,
think?
$115 on this one.
You've held onto it for a lot of years, Dominic. Are
Yes.
you ready to put it up for sale?
Yes.
We'll do that for you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for visiting us in the apartment
You're
today.
welcome.
And our number to call for any or all items that are up for sale is 212-802-0082. Alvin is joining us next. Hi, Alvin. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
What do you collect?
Well, I've got a collection of some Steins, and I pick up odd things, and I like to hold on to them, and if somebody would be interested in purchasing it, I might be interested
Well,
in
tell us
selling
about
it.
the one that you brought.
Well, this particular one was given to me as a gift by a woman who worked for me when I had just gotten out of school and had become an assistant buyer in the curtain and drapery department. And she gave me 5 Steins, which she said her mother had brought from Germany. This was in the early 50s. And that's the largest of the Steins.
Okay. One of the things we always do is we look on the bottom to see if there's any mark. There's really just a number on the bottom which would either indicate a mold size or something like that. It doesn't indicate a manufacturer.
Well, keep in mind, too, that the woman bought it in Germany and it wasn't meant to be exported, so it wouldn't be marked that way.
It wouldn't be marked made in Germany, obviously. That's a good point, Susie. What I want to check out here is the size. This has a 2L on it, and you'll usually find it around the lip, and this tells you this is a 2-liter Stein. So that's 2 liters of beer that they would put in here. One of the things I like about it is this is a well-made Stein. I think it's relatively commercial, but very, very well-made. And I think on the market, $75 to $125 to a collector. If it were a Metlack Stein, of course, sky's the limit. But
Right.
nice
I think
piece.
it's a nice tourist piece from about the 40s, 50s, and I'd put $100 on it.
Okay. In that price range, you're welcome to keep it or put it up for sale.
Well, we'll put it up for sale and take some bids.
Okay, thank you very much for being
Thank
with
you.
us today.
Thank you.
And Elaine is our next guest in the apartment. Hi, Elaine. Come on in. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And what do you collect?
We collect like turquoise glass, and we collect magnets. We've got a pretty good selection from all over the country.
Oh, so wherever
Every
you
time we
travel?
go someplace.
Something to bring home.
Yeah, it makes it real nice. And, you know, sometimes at flea markets and stuff, you find just a real pretty one that you just want to have.
It's
because
easy and
nice.
small. But you brought some glasses today to be
Yes,
appraised. What do you know
did.
about them?
They belong to my grandmother. The pattern is cherry blossom, I've been told. The tumblers are 12 ounce, I believe they said. And my mom says she remembers them as a little girl, so I know that they were bought, you know, sometime. She was born in 1927, so.
All right, these were, this is the cherry blossom pattern, so you're right there. This was made by the Jeanette Glass Company they were in business, I guess, from 1930 to 39, but this is what's known as depression glass. Exactly. Susie, I know you're pretty knowledgeable in this area.
Well, when we started back in the business, my mother was a depression glass dealer, so unfortunately I know more about this than I want to. It is the cherry blossom. Cherry blossom has been reproduced in 1977. Let me show you how to tell the difference. Put your hand inside, and if it's smooth, it's the real one. If it's sharp, it's the repro. Same right here. These are the original ones. So are the tumblers. Value-wise, $80 on the butter dish, and I'm $25 a piece on the tumblers.
I think I'm going to come in a little bit more conservative, particularly since my market area isn't real hot with depression glass. The Midwest is really good, but I would come in maybe $100 for the entire set.
Okay.
That's the difference between the East Coast and the Midwest.
Okay, depending on where you are.
Sure.
But you can open this up for bids to anybody if you like. Okay, we'll do that for you. Thank you so much for visiting with us today. And now let's toss this over to John Davis.
Ideal baby doll that's going to be praised next on Personal FX.
Personal FX, the Collectibles show. John Burke is continuing on vacation, and John Davis is joining me in the apartment. And JD, we've got more appraisals to get to.
We do, and we have to get to them, Claire. I'm back here with Susie Anderson and Ron Norris. Now, I have to say something. Yesterday, for about 5 seconds, I sang the Beanie Baby jingle.
You certainly did.
So today, Susie brought me a tune bag that says it's because you obviously need something to carry a tune in. 5 seconds, you've already judged my singing. Okay, let's get on with the, thank you, Susie Anderson. Let's get on with the remotes. Out in Indianapolis, Indiana, we have Heather with a very beautiful doll. Tell us about it, Heather.
Hi, this is my ideal baby doll with trunk of clothing. This was bought by my grandmother, when I was a little child. And she bought it from an older woman. That's all I know about it.
So you don't know how old it is exactly?
There's some items in here from like the 50s, like cat's eyes and stuff, but exactly I don't know.
Okay, good. Well, let's see what Ron and Susie have to say.
Ideal made so many nice baby dolls, and some of them will have a number on the back.
And this one does, huh?
And I don't know if this one does. Some of them are called the P90 family. And it was in the time frame of the Tiny Tears doll that was so popular.
Looks like 17.
17. Okay, this one is spectacular because you have the original box and all those clothes that go with it. So that is very desirable to a doll collector. And in total, if she were just on herself with no clothes, I'd put about $200 on her. But with all those clothes, I'm going to bump it to $350 because that's nice for a doll collector.
I'm going to absolutely agree with Susie. She's the doll expert, so there you go. And I agree. The good thing is that you do have all those accessories, and that does make a big difference.
Sure does.
Okay, well, Heather, we're hearing about $350. Would you like to entertain some offers on that?
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
Oh, good. Well, thank you very much for joining us. If you'd like to place a bid on the doll, please give us a call at 212-802-0082. And now Teresa has joined us with some William Rogers silverware. Tell us about this, Teresa.
My husband borrowed this for me about 30 years ago in the auction. And some older people they used to have, and they told him they was there about 20 years and never been used. And we left the thing on cleaning here, the knife. That this way you can see it's never been used.
Wow. Yeah,
And
you can
it's
you did
heavy
clean
plated.
these up, right?
Yes.
You cleaned everything up but this
Yes.
one, and this is
Right.
really good. If the camera can pick that up, you can see the tarnish that you have on here. But you know what, Susie? For sitting around for so long, this is not badly tarnished. So number one, you have it in the appropriate type of holder, and you kept it in a good place, which is very, very important, particularly with silver plate, because the more you polish it, the more you're going to lose the silver off it. So that's very, very important.
The style of the pattern indicates that it's probably from the 1930s to the 1940s. And what I would say is that insurance replacement value, if you had to go out and replace that set today, it would probably cost you about $200.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think on the open market, though, to sell, silver plate still isn't, it's not sterling. So maybe $75 to $100 for the entire set you might get.
Okay, so we're hearing a spread of $75 to $200. Would you like to entertain some offers, or you're going to keep it?
No, I'll take it off.
Okay, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back out to Indianapolis with Grace. We have the silverware, now we have the china place settings. We're getting a complete set here. How are you, Grace?
I'm fine. How are you?
Welcome to the show. Tell us about your china.
I have a place setting of Syracuse china that I bought at a garage sale, and I was told that it was used on the New York Central Railroad before they merged with the Pennsylvania Railroad and became the Penn Central.
Oh, and are those all the pieces you have that we see in front of you?
This is one place setting. I have 4 full place sittings.
Oh, okay. Susie, Ron, what do you
Well,
think?
Syracuse China did make china not only for diners and things like that, but also for the railroad specifically.
Right.
I wish there were a name,
A logo.
a logo, or something with
Or
the
a
railroad
pattern
on it.
that is known to be used with a certain railroad, like the ducks flying over the pine trees.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at more like restaurant china.
Yeah, that's what I think. Now, maybe somebody that really knows all the patterns that were made for all the railroads might be able to really identify it as such. But from what I see, I'm going to have to agree with you, Susie. I don't think so.
It's not one that I've seen affiliated with a railroad at all.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but it's just my gut feeling. And
So
because
what
of
kind
that,
of a price, you think?
because of that,
There are 4 place settings.
I'm going to put $100 a place setting on it. If it were a railroad with a logo or a known brand, it would be like $500 a place
Yeah,
setting.
Sky would be the limit, absolutely, yeah,
Okay,
if it were railroad.
So we're hearing about $400 for all the place settings. Would you like to entertain some offers, or are you going to hold on to it?
I'll entertain bids.
Okay, thank you very much, Grace. Thank you for joining us. And now we're back here with Janice. How's the show going so far?
So far, so good.
Okay.
Haven't lost me yet.
Okay. We haven't lost her yet. She was nervous when she got here. This is interesting. Now tell us about this.
Well, this was saved for me from when I was a child. LBJ visited the Nevele Hotel, and my mother's teacher from high school was his waiter, and he signed it and gave it to my mother, and she sent it to Washington to have the president sign it. And
wow.
I've had it since 1966.
Your mother was smart.
Yeah?
Yeah, she sure was. Yeah, she
That's
was.
what she always tells me.
What can you tell us about that?
Falls into two areas of collectibles. Number one, it's an autographed collectible, and it's a presidential political collectible as well, which is nice. The downside is that LBJ is not our most popular modern president. Okay, it's not John F. Kennedy. I would think even Nixon, believe it or not, is probably more popular in this area than LBJ. That's the downside. Otherwise, I think you got a nice piece here.
Value-wise, and I agree with your methodology on that, he's not that popular. Value-wise, about $100 to $125.
Yeah, I'm going to go $50 to $100 on that.
Okay,
Cool.
so we're hearing high-end $125. Are you
Go
going
for
to
the bid.
hold on to it, or
Go for the bid.
your childhood keepsake? Of course, she's going to take offers. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now, stay right there. We're going to go out to Indianapolis, Indiana, with I.O. Haynes, who not only has a super collection, but a super collector.
How right you are. You know, in 1954, Bobby Plump sunk the winning basketball shot in the state championships to win the championships from Milan High School. Now, a pressure shot like that requires a lot of practice, and that's just what Bobby did. He practiced so much that when the Milan gym floor was being removed, they presented him with a portion of it, which he now hangs in his restaurant, Plump's Last Shot. When we come back, we're looking at more Indiana basketball memorabilia here in Indianapolis on Personal FX.
Published for newsstand sale was Famous Funnies, issued in 1934. That 1934 issue cost 10 cents at the time and recently sold for $15,000.
Great if you still have it.
That's a nice markup.
Not so funny if you gave it away or
That's
threw
right.
it out. Welcome back, everybody, to Personal FX. John Burke on vacation, John Davis filling in. We've got a bunch of items to tell you about right now that are up for sale. Let's start out with the motion lamp. They were popular in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. Very collectible. It's a precursor to the lava lamp, and this one ranges from $100 to $125. Then we have the German Beer Stein that was appraised at $75 to $125. It's a 2-liter Stein dating back to the 40s and the 50s. Very well made. Holds a lot of beer, 2 liters. And the Depression glass set. It's a very lovely set. It's been appraised at $100 to $200 for all. It's the cherry blossom pattern. And this is not a reproduction, J.D. This is the real McCoy.
The real thing.
From about the 1930s.
Also out in Indiana, we have the Ideal Baby Doll and clothing. It's from the 1950s. It has a lot of clothing as well as accessories valued at between $300 and $350. We also have the China place setting, also in Indiana. About $100 per setting. There are 4 settings, and it's much more if there was an identifiable mark. She said it's from a railroad, but Susie and Ron didn't see any significant identifiable mark.
I thought I'd been to a restaurant where that place setting was.
You probably were. You want to buy it back? Anyway, we have the LBJ Autographed Menu, valued at between $50 and $150. It's a cross collectible, both presidential as well as autographs, because LBJ did sign that.
Interesting item.
And also, we have the silverware here. It's silver-plated, between $75 and $200, and it looks like a complete set.
Quite an assortment of items up for sale. So if you'd like to bid on any or all of them, our number to call is 212-802-0082. I'm enjoying learning more about our super collector today.
I know, it's so interesting. And not only does he have interesting stuff, but he tells great stories. Right, Io?
He really does, and you're going to get an earful today. You know, that basketball shot was so important in 1954 rather, that the Indiana State Museum has displayed part of his collection. So we had to get part of your own collection back for today's show.
That is true. I had to call the curator to have him come out and bring part of the collection, and this is part of it. This is the jacket that they awarded every team member in 1954 after we won the state tournament.
Wow.
And this is on display at the Indiana State Museum. And Dale Ogden was very nice to
Well, we're
bring it
grateful
back
that he did. Now, it looks like it's in great shape. How is that?
Well, you know, after I graduated from high school, and it was real close to the time that we won the tournament, I attended Butler University, and when you're in college, you don't wear high school leather jackets. No, so that thing hung in my closet for a long, long period of time, and it does look pretty good.
Here.
This is a warm-up that we used at Milan back in 1952 when we were sophomores, and that's one of the reasons that our coach was fired. He ordered new uniforms, and look, we needed it.
We needed it.
Yeah, but money wasn't in the budget, so they eliminated it.
Let's talk about the Hoosier film. How did that come about?
Well, you know, the movie Hoosiers really came about the writer and co-producer, Angelo Pizzo, grew up in Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana. The director, David Anspaugh, grew up in Decatur, Indiana. When they were in college back in the 60s, they lived the story of Milan. They knew it, and they said, this would make a great movie. We ought to do this someday.
And Gene Hackman, you were able to meet, and he was in Hoosier.
Yeah, you know, Gene played the coach. He was Coach Dale, and they were filming out at Butler Fieldhouse, Hinkle Fieldhouse now. And I walked up, and I said, Mr. Hackman, I haven't met you. I'm Bobby Plump. And he said, get over here. This is what this movie's all about.
Right.
He said, let's talk a little bit. And he has an acquaintance that was one of our teammates, Bill Jordan, who is an actor in Hollywood now.
And you were there for the final shot that they actually shot.
Yes, that's what they were filming at the. What a great guy he is, by the way. He's super individual.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, you played in college. Did you play after college?
Yes, I did. I played for a team called Phillips 66ers out in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, and we played in a National Industrial Basketball League with teams in New York, Cleveland, Akron, Denver, San Francisco, Seattle, Wichita, Peoria, and Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And the Phillips 66ers had a team since 1919. They represented the United States in the Olympics in 1948 and 1956.
Now, this is your uniform from back then.
Yes, that is true.
Now, this is pretty normal looking, but you have a very unusual uniform hanging up back here.
I would say this is a little bit unusual, you know. This was from Madison, Indiana, and there was a coach that was coaching there, Julian Budritter. He won a state championship in 44 and 45 as a player. He's coaching at Madison, and back then, if you sold enough uniforms to your opposing schools, you got free uniforms, and he wanted something unique. And he had these polka dots, and there's a duplicate of this hanging over in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame.
Bobby, let me ask you, if you were wearing that uniform, how would you feel?
I feel that I think I'd be noticed, you know. They might not notice my playing ability, but they sure would notice that.
You can't miss that.
Absolutely.
Who's your favorite all-time basketball player?
Well, my favorite all-time basketball player happens to be from Indiana, and it is Oscar Robertson. Larry Bird's a great player, but my favorite was Oscar Robertson. I played against him in high school, played against him in the Olympic playoffs and the Pan American playoffs, and you know, Oscar was we've become very good friends, and Oscar was kind enough to autograph a ball to me, and he signs them Big O.
Big O. So you guys played against each other and were able to maintain a friendship.
And Oscar played 14 years in the NBA. He averaged triple doubles one season. Wow. Okay, and today if you do that, you get a headline. He did it for a whole season.
Now let's talk about today's basketball. The Pacers. Are you a fan of theirs?
Sure, I'm a fan of the Pacers. Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, we have some things here from the Pacers. This red, white, and blue basketball was the original in the American Basketball Association when the Pacers were first formed before they went into the NBA, and some of the original Pacers were kind enough to autograph this for me.
This would be great. I think the Knicks should have had this ball. They wouldn't have been able to let go of it.
It's been like a uniform. It's been colorful anyway, whether they made it or not.
Well, Bobby, I want to thank you so much for showing us your collection. It's wonderful.
Listen, I want to thank you. And by the way, I asked you what your name meant, and I think your fans out there need to know it. It's Joy, right? And you can understand why. Take a look at this.
That is sweet. I didn't even pay him to say that.
It's been fun. It really has been.
Bobby, let me ask you, are you still playing? Do you still play basketball in recreational leagues? Or?
You know what happened about 10 or 15 years ago? Every gymnasium I went to, somebody beat me there and took all the oxygen out of it, so I had to quit.
How did you like the portrayal of your character in Hoosiers?
I did like the portrayal. It isn't accurate because I was so honored to have a uniform that I would have sat on the bench. That's all I dreamed about, was playing on a varsity team. And but I did like the character. I tell you what I liked about it was the last shot. Yeah, I was kind of happy. I was kind of happy that last shot went in.
That's great. Thank you very much, Bobby. Thank you, Io.
I love his energy and enthusiasm and joy. And imagine one shot that he got in affected a whole life.
Wow. And he was out there with Joy herself. We have a great...
attached to it. Very unusual.
And where'd you get it?
This we got about 35 years ago from cousins. We admired it, and she said, "You like it? It's yours." And we were very lucky because it has been a very nice thing that we discuss all the time.
Let's tell you more about it now.
Well, I've got it together, Claire, and it's got 3 pieces, and this is the way it would hang. This would screw into the wall, and it says Japan on one of these pieces, so we know that it's probably after 1921 or so. And very popular, also being reproduced today, so be very careful of reproductions with this similar type of thing. Nice piece. I'll tell you, I like it at about $100 as it is right now.
I'm about $75 on it. That's where the Barrel of Monkeys game came from.
There you go.
How
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah, good thought.
Lovely piece. In that $75 to $100 range, were you interested in taking some offers?
I'll entertain some.
We'll be happy to do that for
Thank you.
And our number to call is 212-802-0082. Is this your husband?
No.
No, that's Mike, our next guest. Good to have you here. Didn't mean to marry you off here.
Yeah.
What did you bring in to be appraised?
I brought in the ornate 3-piece mantle.
Oh, you did.
set.
Very lovely. Where'd you get it?
It was actually given to me from my dad, and where he got it, I don't know. I don't know that much about it. Obviously, it's a mantelpiece, and since he didn't have a mantle, it was a little hard to...
You've come to the right place to find out more about it. What are we looking at?
Well, I think we're looking at something that is a reproduction of a style of similar types of items that were made in the 19th century. This does say made in Italy down here. Again, so we are very convinced that this is 20th century, and I think this is even not made all that many years ago. 20, 30 maximum on this.
You can buy these in the reproduction houses today. In the repro houses, these retail to a dealer for about $800–900. However, I know on the aftermarket, I would have a problem even attaining maybe $500.
Yeah, I'm going to even be more conservative. I'm going to come in about $200 on that set.
It's all done by a decal. It's not hand painted.
So you have to know reproduction, decal.
Right.
Yeah.
In that price range, Mike, would you like to put it up for sale?
Yeah, we'll sell it.
We'll be happy to do that, let you know at the end of the program. And let's go back out and see what Janice has to be appraised. Hi, Janice. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Claire.
Tell us about your bowl.
I have a bowl that is 12 inches by 9 inches and approximately 2 inches deep. And the markings on the back says Wallace, China, Los Angeles, and it says rodeo pattern.
And where'd you get it?
I bought it for my father.
Okay. Well, that's can you turn it the other way? It appears to be that that's a rendition of something that Remington would have done as far as the artwork goes. And I think around the outside there, I think those are probably all brands from, you know, various ranches.
This is in the time frame of the Hopalong Cassidy television show, Roy Rogers television show. And the cowboy collectibles have become very hot in the marketplace over the last 5 years, making all of this china escalate in value.
What are we talking about as far as price range?
At a specialized show, say in the New York area, that one bowl can sell for as high as $200.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to go about $100 on it. I think it's actually I just like it for what it is at $100.
And at that $100 to $200 range, were you interested in putting it up for sale?
I'll take bids.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now is what Dee's been waiting for. She's a comic book collector. She's an avid fan of Another World.
Yes, I'm going to have my tapestry appraised coming up next on Personal FX.
Welcome back to Personal Effects. I really enjoyed listening to Eric talk about his comic book collection and how he got started. He was dyslexic.
I know, what a great story, and he's so passionate about it, which is good.
Great. And let's tell you about a lot of the items that are getting bids right now, starting with the motion lamp that has been appraised at $100 to $125 from the 40s to the 60s. Very collectible. We've got the German Beer Stein with an appraised value of $75 to $125. It is a 2-liter Stein dating back to the 40s and 50s. You like that?
Yeah, Ron Norris knew that.
Depression glass set has an appraised value of $100 to $200 for all, and it is the cherry blossom pattern from about the 1930s. And then we have the ideal baby doll and clothing that comes with an appraised value of $300 to $350 from the 1950s.
We also have the William Rogers silverware, valued at between $75 to $200. It's from the 1930s to 40s, and it's silver-plated. We also have the LBJ Autographed Menu. This is a cross collectible, both autograph as well as presidential. It's valued at between $50 and $125. We also have the Italian mantle set, which this is a reproduction. It's not hand-painted. It has decals, but it's got a nice price, $200 to $500 for the set. And in Indiana, we have the Wallace China Bowl, which has a cowboy motif, very collectible, valued at between $100 and $200.
And it's not too late to bid. All you have to do is call us at 212-802-0082.
And let's take a look at another item. It's out in Indianapolis with Joe. Joe, tell us about your tapestry.
I have a tapestry that was made in Heilbronn, Germany in 1995. That was a gift to my dad.
Wow, that's
1959.
When was it made?
1959.
1959.
Okay.
And how big is it?
It's 6 foot long by 2 foot tall.
Oh, great. Okay. Susie, Ron?
Can we see a tight shot of the back real quick?
What does that tell you?
Machine made.
Uh-huh.
Okay, rather than handmade. And it looked as if there was a little wear on the fringe below.
Right.
And because of that, and because of the fact that it is machine made and it's a later piece, I'm going to put a value of approximately $200 on the piece.
Yeah, I'm going to come in a little bit later because this is pretty standard fare. A lot of GIs brought this stuff back, including myself.
Right.
I'm going to come in about $100 maybe on that.
Okay.
That's an easy way to tell. Is you look at the back and you can see whether it's hand knotted or machine made.
And there was trouble with the fringe on the bottom, or
Right.
it was just tucked in?
No, there's some wear on the bottom.
Okay.
Definite
All right,
wear.
Joe, we're hearing about $100 to $200. What do you think? Would you like to entertain some offers?
Yes.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's rare that we get tapestry. Do you get tapestry very often?
We've had quite a few on the show, but it's rare we get a hand-knotted one or a hand-done one rather than machine.
Yeah, the hand-done ones are rare. Good ones are rare to find.
And they go in the thousands rather than the hundreds.
And I just learned you brought one back from the service. I didn't know about you. Let's turn our mailbag right now. We have Nelda on the line from Binghamton, New York. Hi, Nelda. Welcome. How are you?
I'm fine, Claire. How are you?
Good, thank you. Now, you wrote us about a teapot. Please tell the audience more about your teapot.
Well, there's not much I can tell you more than I wrote. It's porcelain, and it's hand-painted, and it has writing on the bottom of it, which I was not ever sure really what it said.
Wow, what does that say?
I don't know. At first I thought that was an A-R-N, and then I looked at it and thought it was an A-R-M.
But it says hand-painted at 2112, and you said it's 7 inches tall.
Yes.
With the gold trim.
Yes.
Let's see if we can find out more from Ron and Susie.
It's a Victorian shape, and it's also a Victorian motif. The shape, the melon shape with that kind of spout, with that kind of finial was very typically made in the 1880s and before, by the way, but I think this is like an 1880 to the turn of the century one. The blue banding also is very indicative coming up to the turn of the century, hand-painted Victorian flowers. It just looks so Victorian to me.
It does look Victorian, but you know, for some reason, I just don't think it is.
Why not?
It's just the way that it comes together, and that mark underneath is kind of a complex mark. So Yeah, maybe it is, but I'm gonna stick with the fact I don't think it is without doing a lot more homework
Well, what do you
on that
do
mark.
when you see a mark like that? You're really not all that familiar with it.
If you look at it, it looks like it's double stamped.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Okay?
somebody made a
I think
mistake.
somebody goofed there. Now, we have two ways of interpreting that. If it was meant for export, it would say, made in the USA. If it was not, it would not have to have it on it. So basically, I'm going with shape and motif. 1880 to the 1900s, could have been made up to 1930.
And let me pin you down with a price.
Well, I'll tell you, I think it was probably made in the 30s or 40s. You're right about the shape, but I'm gonna come in about $50 maybe on it. I wish we had more time to do some homework though.
I like it at $35 to $40.
Okay, or up to $50. A little bit more homework could be worth a little bit more. Nilda, would you interested in putting it up for sale, doing more research on it? What would you like to do?
Yes, I'll take some bids on it.
Okay, we'll be happy to do that. Thank you so much for being part of today's program.
Thank you.
Now, if you have some items you would like to have appraised, be sure to send us photographs, not the items. And you can send it to us here at Personal FX, P.O. Box 825.
Let's get started with the big bids by going out to Indianapolis and letting you know, Heather, for your ideal baby doll and clothing, Gina from Shelton, Washington, for all of them, would like it at $510. Sold!
Sold! An eye-popping sold.
Enthusiastic. And Dominic, for your motion lamp, Denise from Santa Barbara, California, is offering $175.
Sold.
Alvin, for your beer stein, we've got an offer from Jan from Everett, Washington, for $151.50.
Sold American.
3 for 3. Elaine, for your depression glass set, Kalair from Edmonds, Washington, is offering $285.
I'll think about it.
Please do.
She'll think about it. Let's go back out to Indianapolis to Janice. Rich from Syracuse, New York, for your China bowl is offering $135.
Sold.
Sold. Okay, Teresa for Arlene from Nashville, Tennessee is offering $210 for your silverware. Sold, she says. All right, Janice for your autographed LBJ menu. Enid from Buffalo, New York is offering $125.
Sold.
Sold. Mike for your mantle set. Sharon from Hackensack, New Jersey is offering $213.
Sold.
Sold. We have a lot of solds on the show. That's good. And let's go back out to Indianapolis with Io. Great show today, Io. What are you doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we're visiting with David Letterman's mom, Dorothy, who collects condiment sets. I want to thank Bobby Plump. If you want to read more about his life, his autobiography will be in stores in about 2 weeks. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you, Io. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Io.
Thank you very
Bobby.
much. And Runner, Susie Anderson, to all of you in the apartment and at home, thank you.
See you tomorrow.